Hey everybody, I'm DeoGenZ, cross-chopping my way into Rank A in the Advanced Challenge mode of Pokemon Rumble. On the last episode, we successfully live recorded about an hour's worth of footage, and it worked out pretty well in my opinion. I like the results. At this range where I am right now, I'm going to maybe have to turn up the microphone a little bit more. But that's all things I can do in post-production, and it seems to work out well. So this is definitely a method for gaining a lot of videos quickly, which is excellent for you guys because the more stockpiles I get, the more eager I will be to release them. Of course, sometimes I have to be not so self-defeating with my video upload times because I realize sometimes I need a ample supply of videos just to sit in waiting in case something comes up, or I get involved in a secondary project separate from videos. That happens a little too often. It's funny. You know, when I speak about what I do in my real life, because there's a certain degree of how open I can be, it's almost like thinking of it in terms of an anime, where you have the main anti-hero character who has a dual life, and you only get to see half of it half of the time. But of course the reader probably ends up seeing all of it because you have to be engrossed in the story. And it's interesting because when I said in the last video, yeah, let me get a drink and I'll be right back, I went to sleep. And it's about 2 days later, and it's actually after the live cast that day, and I did not go to sleep. As soon as the live cast was over on the 17th, I just continued to stay up. I had some college homework to do, some Excel assignments, and I also got engrossed in Fallout New Vegas. Absolutely love that game. While my computer was away at HP getting its fans cleaned, I went back to Fallout 3 actually, and tried finishing up Broken Steel. Completed Broken Steel, but I still have another piece of DLC to go through. It's the one where you go down the riverboat. Point Lookout, I believe. Might be mistaken on that, but it's the one where you go down the river. So that's something interesting. What are they going to do for the remake, or not remake, but sequel of Pokemon Rumble? I don't know. Could they possibly make this a better game? They really have to change so much. I can't even imagine where to begin. But for a game that's based off of pressing one button over and over again, what are you going to do to mix up the style? I know that the art style is going to be the same, but it's a full game, you know? Hopefully they would maybe make some combos. Make it a tad more difficult to launch moves. Or maybe even make the opponents stronger in technique. Give them the same spammy abilities that I'm unleashing on them. Instead of having them charge up every single time they want to use a move. Alright, I get it, they're going to use moves on me, but I don't need that much of an indicator light before they attack me. It's a tricky balance when programming a game of letting the gamer know some hints to beat the game without spoon-feeding them. It's a very tricky tight wire to ride upon. Yeah, because this game way too easy. And it's not like they're even showing you hints, it's just poorly programmed for difficulty. The artificial intelligences of these opponents are pathetic. So since it's 6 in the morning, and I have not had 1 ounce of sleep, but I'm still running on full capacity, as you can hear, I decided to have some coffee. So if you hear slurping during the remainder of this recording, that's what it is. See, it's such a shame that the real challenges have to wait until this level of the game. If the game started out at this difficulty, and then maybe got even better from there, I wouldn't have a problem. but it's just the styles of their fighting are so similar. There's no predictions needing to be made on any different Pokemon you face. You don't even have to consider the types. Okay, I slightly had to consider the types there for Luxray, but this is a boss Pokemon. If it's any other regular ground type, electric type moves work just as well, which is sad to say. The world of Pokemon can be so freaking brutal, it's not even funny. I'll tell you what is funny, though, is that this was meant to be geared towards children. And you know, I remember when I was growing up, that was one of the reasons my mom wouldn't let me play with Pokemon originally, was that kids were actually getting beat up over the trading card series, which is actually beyond me. I just cannot believe people were actually physically abusing each other for cardboard. It's really ridiculous what you can get us silly monkeys to rally over and misplace value in. The value is definitely not in the object. It's all within your mind and what you place on it, as far as how much worth it has. I have some cards that are normal cards, for example, a normal execute card, that means more to me than some of my holographics. Just because it was my first Pokemon card ever. But that's funny. It definitely could be made as an argument that this invokes violence, sort of, but really I wouldn't buy that whole argument. I never supported that in the past, and I still don't, but I see where it comes from. Because looking at the art of this video game and franchise overall, it's pretty brutal. I think the only thing that keeps it from being truly brutal is that the Pokemon never die. But they faint. I mean, what the hell is that all about? It's like a pseudo-death. They're dead, but they can come back. They're like re-deads. You can run, but you can't out-die the poison. Well, yeah, actually, if you go to Nurse Joy, you can out-die the poison. Nurse Joy, my Pokemon fainted. Oh, don't worry. We have the science to bring it back. You hear drills and sparks in the background as Nurse Joy goes to take your Pokemon for quote-unquote healing time. Something to be curious about. And also, something that could support that idea that she's running devious experiments on your Pokemon in the back when she claims to be healing them, is that she always wishes for you to come back. I hope to see you soon. Jeez, I mean, I get it if you say I hope to see you again, and, you know, eventually, if you need anything, come back, but you hope to see us soon? Shit, you're asking for us to get jumped. Maybe it was you who employed Team Rocket after all in the original games. You were just wanting us to bring our poor Pokemon over to you to do who knows what to. Maybe that's where natures came from. That was something that me and Pat discussed on the live cast last night, was natures. The fact that, because he's doing the Pokemon Ruby walkthrough, so we talked about some of the firsts that Ruby and Sapphire brought along, like natures, EV training, a lot of significant things that make Pokemon the complex game that it is today, and make it so it can still hold up to any gamer's desire, any level of gamer's desire, whether they're noob or advanced players who seek real challenge. The Ruby franchise, Hoenn series, they really updated a lot of mechanics, and one of the things that happened were natures. So maybe after many years worth of testing, that was some of the first things that arose. I think the Pokerus might have been invented in a lab, and then spread on defenseless Yanmega in the Johto region. And then from there, it morphed into natures. Sure, they want to cover it in the books as a discovery for science, but the discovery for science was a scientific creation. something made in the petri dish. So this is fun. I mean, this is probably one of the most entertaining boss levels that we've had to come encounter with, is rank A of the advanced mode. I must say though, it's incredibly sad that it's taken this long to get a decent boss fight. And it still does not excuse the spammy gameplay that it took to get us to this point. Again, not even considering the basic rank challenges, just the level that we faced to get here. Gameplay and mechanics of each level were the same. Spam your way to the top. Harvesting the Lickitongs. It's kinda like harvesting Slowpoke Tail, except instead of tail, you're chopping tongues. We like to hurl rocks at the Lickitung, make them soften. Easier to lop them off when you collect them. The best way to do it, in my opinion, is by Tangrowth. He's kind of an all-in-one rock-hurling, softening, life-absorbing, vine-lopping machine all in one. You know what I mean? He's the ultimate Lickitung harvesting factory. Oh, it's damn awful what happens when I'm tired. Start talking about Lickitung harvesting factories. That's alright. Today's a fun day. See, that's what happened. I'm going to Six Flags today, and in anticipation, I couldn't sleep. No, again, I was just too diverted by Fallout New Vegas. See, this is why I really would like to keep on hoping that Pokemon Rumble for the 3DS comes out great. Because I wanted this game to be good. I did not expect it to be bad. I thought it was going to be something like a Brawl or Melee, specifically for Pokemon, though. That's what I've always wanted. One of the many things I've always wanted, as far as game ideas go, was for, specifically, there to be a Pokemon fighting platform that was a fighting game, instead of an RPG-based game. And I know there is another type out there that's on the computer, and I've never actually looked into it. Muijin? Is it Muijin? I think it's Muijin, but it's a 2D based fighting game that seems to have every single fighter you could imagine in there. You know, Machamp reminds me of a story I read about it within the Pokemon manga, which was one of the epic battles in Pokemon League. I'm trying to think if it might have been with... No, it definitely was Red, because it was Snorlax. And it also... I'm trying to think, was it with Blue or Green? I believe it was with Blue. And it was Blue's Machamp versus Ash's, or Red's Snorlax. I always want to say Ash, but it is Red. And what that battle turned into was Machamp countering every single Mega Kick, Mega Punch, anything excellently Mega attack-wise that Snorlax could do by taking all of its four arms and holding on to Snorlax's limbs. It was beast, and I think Snorlax did something crazy like tilt the stage and launch Machamp. Oh, sweet, you just got a Machamp. Let's try it out. But it was one of the most badass maneuvers that I had ever seen. That was something I really appreciated big time in the Pokemon manga that before that really wasn't seen. Even in the TV series, the anime series had to be kind of short in battle strategies because you had to fill a half-hour time slot. You couldn't go over too much that time slot because you're running with network times. But with the manga, they had infinite amounts of pages as long as they felt necessary to illustrate a battle. And, you know, when it comes down to it, manga has to be one of my favorite mediums of viewing Japanese culture. I really love